ng iyong all-time hits. Ang tanging huntahan ng Masanglamaw. #1 sa Mega Manila, nationwide pa. Broadcasting from TGON, TVH Group of Networks. Dito lang sa inyong iisang himpilan. Cool FM! You are listening to Cool FM. Live from Cool Studios. This is koolNews at 6.
Good evening and welcome to koolNews at 6. I'm Carlos.
And I'm DJ Sen. We start our broadcast this Friday's broadcast tonight with Vice President Sara Duterte criticized the Philippine government, and two senators are not happy about it. Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel offered a response to the Vice President's critics when he was asked to comment on the matter. She could have given a counter-sona, according to the Senate Minority Leader, who told reporters in an ambush interview. In her strongly worded statement on Wednesday, the Vice President also criticized the government for supposedly allowing Filipinos to remain hungry due to public officials who deceive people. She likewise said that the Philippines, being a free country, should not bow down to foreign entities such as the International Criminal Court. Senate Deputy Majority Leader J.B. Ejercito, meanwhile, said disagreements between the country's top two officials send the wrong message to international communities. He said in a press conference yesterday that it's a really sad development. What's happening is that the #1 and #2 top positions, if they are not united, doesn't send a very good signal internationally. Siyempre, nagkakaroon ng doubts on our political stability if the top two officials are not united or don't have a very good working relationship. But Ejercito said he still believes that the Philippines still have a good government, noting that it is only facing lots of challenges. In the end, though, he admitted to hoping that President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. does not take Duterte's words negatively. The senator added that I'm hoping that the president will not take it in a negative way. He should take it with a grain of salt and make it a challenge to make things done faster. There are still lots of challenges, and there are still many problems, but we should see results in the near future. A Masbate court's decision to recall the warrants issued for the arrest of two local journalists has been lauded by the Presidential Task Force on Media Security. In an August 6 resolution, Judge Teofilo Tambago of the Masbate Regional Trial Court Branch 49 granted the motion to recall filed by Benjamin Gigante, Jay Alfaro, and other radio broadcasters. According to the Presidential Task Force on Media Security Executive Director Paul Gutierrez, this reprieve granted by the court is also a triumph for the rule of law. Tambago also ordered a preliminary investigation into the murder complaint filed against the media workers. Gigante, Alfaro, Bernie Naraha, and Raymond Dos Dos were accused of being communist rebels allegedly behind the April 6 killing of Richard Boso in Kawayan Town. The defendants, however, have argued that they were not granted a preliminary probe, as they never received a subpoena. Gutierrez reminded Masbate Provincial Prosecutor Jeremias Mapula that the PTF-OMS is chaired by the Justice Secretary, with the support of attached agencies of the Department of Justice, including the National Prosecution Service, of which you are a part of. Philippine and Malaysian armed forces are set to hold joint military activities this year and next year as part of ongoing efforts to strengthen their partnership in the face of evolving global geopolitical landscape as well as threats to regional security. Army spokesman Colonel Louis de Maala announced the coming joint military activities on Wednesday at the 36th Malaysia-Philippines Army Working Group meeting at Fort Bonifacio in Taguig. Assistant Chief of Staff for Plans Colonel Benjamin Leander and the Malaysian Army's Operation and Training Branch Director General Brigadier General Isa bin Daod co-chaired the event. Like the Philippines, Malaysia has claims in the South China Sea, which Beijing claims almost entirely as its own. Demala said that the annual working group meeting is intended to strengthen and develop friendly relations and cooperation between the armed forces of the two countries, especially through medium-term bilateral activities, including open discussions on subjects of mutual interest. At the working group meeting, the two parties evaluated activities for this year and discussed proposals for next year without giving any detail. Army Commanding General Lieutenant General Roy Galido said that through this working group, the Philippine Army voiced its desire to enhance and complement each other's military capabilities in the spirit of friendship and unwavering commitment to promote regional peace and stability within the member states of ASEAN. Meanwhile, the multilateral maritime cooperative activity of the navies of Australia, Canada, the Philippines, and the United States in the West Philippine Sea entered its second and final day yesterday, with participants engaging in boat transfers, anti-submarine warfare, and passing exercises. Philippine Navy spokesman for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, said flight quarter operations were also conducted while 3 People's Liberation Army Navy warships, Jiangkai-class frigate Huanggang 570 and 2 Jiangdao-class vessels with bow number 668 and 626 were watching from a distance, possibly at around 4 to 8 nautical miles. He called the presence of the Chinese vessels dubious and inappropriate, but not a cause for alarm. He emphasized that the latest MMCA, the first among Australia, Canada, the Philippines, and the US, is not a display of force directed at any particular country, but rather a show of commitment to international law for all countries. Trinidad also added that the planned vessels watched the exercises at varying distances of 4 to 8 nautical miles, which is near if based on the expanse of ocean. He said that in the first place, they have been the ones who have been doing the illegal, aggressive, and deceptive action. They have been disrupting the peace in the West Philippine Sea and in the entire South China Sea. Trinidad also stressed that in the long term, the goal of such joint activity is establishing and preserving stability in the Indo-Pacific region, where China has been flexing its muscles and bullying the Philippines. At the House of Representatives, meanwhile, an ally of Speaker Martin Romualdez took the cudgels for him against criticism from Vice President Sara Duterte, whom he accuses of being silent when Filipinos needed her most, especially in the face of Chinese aggression in the West Philippine Sea. Representative Joel Chua said that where was the Vice President when the China Coast Guard was bullying and trying to punch a hole in the rubber boats of Filipinos? Where was she when Chinese fishing vessels rammed the small fishing boats of our fishermen in the West Philippine Sea? Chua, the 3rd District Congressman of Manila, maintained that the Vice President, quote, should be pro-Filipino and should not be tight-lipped when issues involving China crop up. He also cited Duterte's trip to Germany with her family at the height of Typhoon Karina and the enhanced southwest monsoon or habagat, which plummeted a huge part of Metro Manila and nearby provinces. Chua concluded that where was she when Typhoon Karina hit us? When Mount Canlaon erupted, when a bombing occurred in Mindanao State University, when El Nino phenomenon hit our farmlands? Where was she when the Filipinos whom she said she loved needed her most? He said that the Vice President has a penchant for gimmickry, comedy, and theatrics to cover for her lack of performance. In other news now, as Transport Group Manibela yesterday warned it would stage a 3-day transport strike next week if President Marcos Jr. fails to hear calls to allow traditional jeepneys to continue operating. Manibela President Mar Balbuena said that this is not a threat or a condition, but we are asking to continue our livelihood. Marcos had rejected a Senate resolution to suspend the modernization program, saying that the implementation has been postponed 7 times. He said that the strike would start on August 14 if there is no clear directive from the palace, nor the Department of Transportation, or even the LTFRB. The modernization program, which was started in 2017, seeks to replace jeepneys with modern units that have Euro 4 compliant engines to reduce pollution. Balboa, however, noted that there are still no clear guidelines on the operation of traditional jeepneys. Rappler employees work at their headquarters at the Estancia offices in Capitol Commons in Pasig City as a Philippine news site co-founded by Maria Ressa can continue operating after a court overturned a shutdown order, according to the ruling released Friday and their latest legal victory for the media outfit. Ressa and Rappler have been fighting back and forth on multiple court cases filed during former President Rodrigo Duterte's administration that triggered what media advocates say was a grinding series of criminal charges, probes, and online attacks against Ressa and Rappler. The SEC order have been a grave abuse of direction and contravened established procedures, jurisprudential and legal instructions, and clear intent of the Constitution, the Court of Appeals said in a decision issued on July 23 but only released to the media on Friday. It revoked Rappler's certificate of incorporation, which was for violating constitutional and statutory restrictions on foreign ownership in mass media. The shutdown order was made on June 29, 2022, which was the day before the former president left office. Rappler has, however, continued operating as it appealed the SEC order. Human Rights Watch researcher Carlos Conde said justice and good sense have prevailed with the overturning of the SEC decision. Conde added that the Court of Appeals' decision to void the SEC's shutdown order against Rappler is long overdue. A technical issue hit the Metro Rail Transit 3 or MRT3 on Friday morning as passengers had to be transferred in the leading car of a train set between Bonnie Avenue and Guadalupe stations. Passenger transfer at Bonnie Station at approximately 8:47 a.m. was advised to allow for maintenance technicians to perform troubleshooting. The next train arrived at Bonnie at around 8:59 a.m. According to MRT, the concerned train was stabled at Shaw Boulevard Station's pocket track at around 9:03 in the morning, and it will undergo further checking at the depot. The MRT3 management deeply apologizes to all passengers affected by this incident. A total of 18 fire volunteers were hurt responding to the blaze in Guidote Street in Tondo, Manila that broke out on Thursday evening, the Bureau of Fire Protection NCR said on Friday. In an update, the BFP NCR said that the following are the injured fire volunteers who sustained first to second degree burns on different parts of their body. The BFP NCR said that the fire started at 7:51 p.m. on Thursday and reached the second alarm at 8:14 p.m. However, it was declared as fire under control as soon as the second alarm was declared. More or less 65 fire trucks, including around 50 from volunteers, 14 from the BFP, and 1 from the local government responded to the area. 4 ambulances also came. The estimated damage due to the fire was at around 19 million pesos. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. created the Presidential Office for Child Protection amid the increasing online child sexual abuse and exploitation cases in the country. The president, through Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, issued Executive Order 67 creating the Presidential Office for Child Protection, which will be under the Office of the President. The POCP is designated to monitor and harmonize government trusts, policies, and programs relative to the protection of children and the promotion of their welfare, with special focus on anti-online sexual abuse or exploitation of children, anti-child sexual abuse or exploitation materials, and child trafficking matters. It shall submit policy recommendations to the President and monitor the implementation of related directives, programs, and projects regarding the welfare and protection of children. And finally, on our cool weather forecast now, as cloudy skies and rain showers will prevail in many parts of Luzon and Western Visayas throughout the night tonight due to Habagat, according to Pagasa. The effects of Habagat or southwest monsoon will continue in most parts of Luzon and Western Visayas, so expect rains, particularly in the western sections of the country. Isolated rain showers and thunderstorms are also possible in Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Pagasa is also no longer monitoring any weather disturbances in and around the Philippine area of responsibility. On Thursday, Pagasa was still monitoring the presence of a potential LPA as well as Tropical Storm Maria, which is outside the Philippine area of responsibility. Meanwhile, Pagasa did not raise any gale warnings over any of the country's seaboards. Stick around, Cool News at 6 will return after these messages. Stay along with us, we'll be right back.
agriculture and infrastructure due to the effects of the southwest monsoon and typhoons Butchoy and Karina have reached over 6.3 billion pesos, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council bared in its latest situation report Thursday. It said damage to agriculture was placed at 2.039 billion pesos and these were incurred in regions 1, 2, 3, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, regions 5, 6, 9, 10, 12, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, and the Cordillera Administrative Region. Meanwhile, infrastructure damage totaled 4.31 billion pesos in regions 1, 2, 3, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, regions 8, 10, 11, 12, Bar-M, and the CAR. House damages were placed at 8,577 and these were incurred in regions 1, 2, 3, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, regions 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, Caraga, Bar-M, and the CAR. The number of reported dead remained at 48, with only 14 confirmed as of posting. Meanwhile, those affected are placed at 1,715,194 families in 17 regions. Lawmakers have urged the Department of Energy to find ways to lower electricity prices in the country. According to Baguio, Representative Mark Go, electricity prices in the Philippines are significantly higher compared to other Southeast Asian countries. The cost of electricity in the Philippines is very high. Our electricity price is $0.18 per kilowatt hour. In Thailand, it's $0.13 or 30 cents per kilowatt hour. In Indonesia, it's 10 cents per kilowatt hour. In Vietnam, it's 8 cents per kilowatt hour. And in Malaysia, it's 3 cents per kilowatt hour. Go said during House Committee on Appropriations deliberations on the agency's proposed 3.085 billion pesos 2025 budget. The reasons why prices are high here and low in other countries are likely due to, first, fuel costs, second, our energy policies, and third, the proportion of renewable energy in our energy mix. Go added. The congressman emphasized that the high cost of electricity in the country is one of the factors discouraging investors. Energy Secretary Rafael Lotila explained that other countries in the region are able to lower electricity prices due to the subsidies they receive from their governments. Big part of the lower cost in the other countries is attributable to the subsidy that they get from government for the price. In 2023, the Vietnam Power Corporation asked for almost $3 billion subsidy from the national government to reduce the power cost there. So with the other countries in the region, he said. The second source of subsidy is cross subsidies from the fuel or upstream sectors. Since they produce oil, natural gas, and coal, they require coal suppliers to offer domestic generators a lower price than what they charge for exports, Lotila added. Nevertheless, the DOE assured lawmakers that it is continuously seeking ways to further reduce electricity prices. This includes our ongoing audit of fuel costs passed on by generators to consumers and our ongoing efforts to reset rates for regulated entities, the system operator, and distribution utilities, so we can ensure that the prices charged by our regulated utilities are fair, said Energy Regulation Commission Chair Attorney Mona Lisa C. Dimalanta. The DOE is also studying the removal of value-added tax on components such as system losses, lifeline rates, and senior citizen discounts. Surigao del Norte 2nd District Representative Robert A. Barber said the International Criminal Court is free to use the Quad Committee hearings on illegal activities linked to Philippine offshore gaming operators, or shortened as POGOs, the illegal drug trade, and human rights violations. Barbers in a press briefing at the Pabansang complex said that they will make the records accessible to everyone, including transcripts of discussions between lawmakers and invited resource persons. Several relatives of drug war fatalities have filed crimes against humanity complaints against former President Rodrigo Duterte and his then officials for supposedly being the extrajudicial killings. While Duterte and his allies have maintained that the anti-drug operations were conducted in a routine manner, groups said the former president should be held accountable for these killings. Our hearings are public hearings. Since the nature of public hearings, because of public interest, therefore records of such hearings would be out in the public, Barbers, who heads the House of Representatives Committee on Dangerous Drugs, said on Wednesday. Anyone can use the transcript or maybe even records of the hearings. As to how they are going to use it, that is not within our realm. If the ICC would want to use this, it's up to them, as these are public records, he added. According to barbers, they would not mind whether or not the records are of any assistance to the ICC. If it will help them or not, it is up to them, he added. Manila 6th District Representative Bienvenido Abate Jr. meanwhile said that he prefers the ICC to source their own materials for their own prop, adding that he would like to keep the hearings domestic. Abate heads the House Committee on Human Rights. However, Abate clarified later on that if ICC would use the hearing, it would be up to them, but the panels would not extend any help. Actually, I made a statement that my hearing is domestic. We would like this to be heard, but we could be able to resolve this domestically. I am not going to allow the ICC to use the Committee on Human Rights, he said. Let them submit on their own, as the president said, that we do not recognize the ICC in the Philippines right now. So it's up to them to investigate, but I am not going to allow the Committee on Human Rights to be used by the ICC for their own investigation, he added. A Manila that will make not only its residents proud, but all Filipinos. This is the future that awaits magnificent Manila as the city continues to work toward establishing its 6 flagship infrastructure projects designed to change the capital's landscape: the new retail market, Santerias Sports Complex and Convention Center, the new Caliga sa Manila Center, Plaza Azul People's Park, Disaster Management Office and Convention Center, and Manila's Civic Green Center. These intuitives, shared by Manila City Mayor Hani Lausuna at her recent State of the City address held July 30 at the Philippine International Convention Center, are all underway in terms of budget preparations and will serve as foundation for the future of the city, the Manila that is very simple of what it means to be Filipino. Starting with the new retail market, Lausuna said it will replace the old one destroyed in the fire the previous year, while a new 6-story San Andres Sports Complex and Convention Center is in the works, supported by Manila 5th District Representative Erwin Itan. To establish a deeper relationship with her constituents and respond promptly to their needs, a new Kalinga sa Manila Center will also be established, Lausana said. The 10th-floor building will house the Manila Barangay Center, the Manila Youth Center, a theater, and a modern library, making it a venue where the city's resources will be made more accessible to its residents. Kalinga sa Manila started in 2023 as a series of fora designed to bring City Hall to the people. These fora are conducted in all of the capital's barangays, where Lausana and her team go directly to residents to discuss their challenges, and joined by representatives of various departments so they can directly provide assistance to those in need. The creation of Plaza Azul People's Park, which will be placed under a portion of the elevator road network Skyway Stage B, at the Manila Civic Green Center, which will be placed around the Civic District of Manila City Hall, are both designed to re-establish the capital as a green city, said Lausuna. Finally, to support and strengthen its efficient disaster preparedness programs, a Disaster Management Office and Convention Center will also be built. On top of these 6 flagship intuitives, Lausana also shared the rundown of other plans and successes of the country's capital in the past year: the rehabilitation of the Locus Nila underpass, as well as 5,000 square meters of city roads, street lighting projects, the opening of the new Vitas Slaughterhouse and the new Animal Clinic and Rescue Center, awarding of land and landness program certificates, the relocation of Estro de Magdalena, the maintenance of Cerros Urban Forest Park, the distribution of bureau assistance to bereaved residents, and the registrations of over 184,000 senior citizens, among others. Lausana likewise enjoined her constituents to also do their part in establishing magnificent Manila. I call on all Manilinos, let's start in our homes and communities, let us unite and help our city rebuild its promise to be safe, clean, and orderly, and to be the Manila that gives everyone the opportunity to succeed, Lausana said. And let's be quick here with the rest of the headlines. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has ordered the exemption of travel tax for passengers departing from international airports and seaports in Mindanao and Palawan heading to areas within the Brunei, Darussalam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, East ASEAN Gulf area. According to Marcos in issuing Memorandum Order 29, signed by Executive Secretary Lucas Persamin on August 6, this is to further sustain and accelerate economic development in Mindanao and Palawan. The text examination will last until June 30, 2028, and unless sooner revoked. Authorities seized 23 million pesos worth of illegal drugs in several operations on Friday in Zamboanga City in Mindanao and in Kalinga Province last Thursday in Luzon. Operators from the Philippine National Police Drug Enforcement Group confiscated 2 kilos of suspected shabu worth 13,600,000 pesos from a 37-year-old suspect in the city's Sanjogupsu village. Meanwhile, the suspect was brought to the city police station 11 for his temporary detention. In Luzon's Kalinga province, PNP TEG operators swooped down on the target area in Barangay Nambaran, Tapok City, and uprooted and destroyed 52,000 fully grown marijuana plants worth 10,400,000 pesos at about 11 a.m. last Thursday. Mata said the marijuana plants were concealed in a 5,200 square meter farm on the ridges of Barangay Nambaran. However, during the operation, the owner of the marijuana plantation eluded arrest. And operations of the Light Rail Transit Line 1 or LRT1 will be suspended for 3 weekends this month. According to LRT1, a private operator Light Rail Manila Corporation, this suspension will accelerate the preparations for the LRT1 Cavite Extension Phase 1 opening in the fourth quarter this year. The suspension will be implemented on August 17 and 18, 24, 25, and from August 31st to September 1st, 2024. LRMC said that during these periods, no commercial train service will be available from Fernando Po Jr. Station to Baclaran Station. It said the 3-weekend closure aims to integrate the existing system of LRT1 with the Cavite extension in terms of signaling system, perform systems operation demonstration, test, and conduct the necessary operational exercises to ensure the safety and reliability of the extended system. LRMC General Manager Enrico Benipayo said this system migration was a critical step in ensuring the safe and efficient operations of the extended LRT1 line. Benipayo gave his assurance that the temporary closures will result in long-term convenience once the extended LRT1 line becomes operational. It is now 6:33 in the evening, and koolNews at 6 will be right back. Welcome back. Let's get into the headlines now or what's happening around the world as Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said Thursday that Russia needed to feel the consequences of its war as a major European incursion across the Russian border stretched into a third day. Pro-Kiev forces stormed into Russia's southwestern Kursk region on Tuesday morning, deploying around 1,000 troops and more than 2,000 armored vehicles and tanks, according to the Russian army. It appears to be the most significant Ukraine attack into Russia since the war began, with independent analysts suggesting Kiev's troops had advanced up to 10 kilometers into Russia. Russia brought the war to our land and should feel what it has done, Zelensky said in his evening address, without directly referring to the offensive. Ukrainians know how to achieve their goals, and we did not choose to achieve our goals in the war, he added. Russia's defense ministry said Thursday its troops were continuing to destroy armed European units and were using airstrikes, rocket, and artillery fire to try to push them back. It said it had rushed in reserves and was trailing attempts to break through deeper into the Kursk region. The independent US-based Institute for the Study of War said Ukraine had made significant territorial gains in the first 2 days of the incursion. Ukraine forces have made confirmed advances up to 10 kilometers or 6 miles into Russia's Kursk Oblast amid continued mechanized offensive operations on Russian territory, it said in its latest update. The current confirmed extent and location of Ukrainian advances in Kursk Oblast indicate that Ukrainian forces have penetrated at least 2 Russian defensive lines and a stronghold, it added. UN member states on Thursday approved a treaty targeting cybercrime, the body's first such text, despite fierce opposition from human rights activists who have warned of potential surveillance dangers. After 3 years of negotiations and a final 2-week session in New York, members approved the United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime by consensus, and it will now be submitted to the General Assembly for formal adoption. I consider the documents adopted. Thank you very much. Bravo to all. Agrian Demoblat Fauzia Bomaiza Marki, chairwoman of the treaty drafting committee, said to applause. The committee was set up despite US and European opposition following an initial move in 2017 by Russia. The new treaty would enter into force once it has been ratified by 14 member nations and aims to prevent and combat cybercrime more efficiently and effectively, notably regarding child sexual abuse imagery and money laundering. Hailing a landmark convention, South Africa's delegate said the provisions of technical assistance and capacity building offered much needed support to countries with less developed cyber infrastructures. But the treaty's detractors and unusual alliance of human rights activists and big tech companies denounced it as being too broad in scope, claiming it could amount to a global surveillance treaty and be used for repression. In particular, the text provides that a state may, in order to investigate any crime punishable by a minimum of 4 years imprisonment under its domestic law, asks the authorities of another nation for any electronic evidence linked to the crime, and also requests data from internet service providers. Warning of an unprecedented multilateral tool for surveillance, the Brown of Human Rights Watch told agents France Press, the treaty will be a disaster for human rights and is a dark moment for the United Nations. This treaty is effectively a legal instrument of repression, she said. It can be used to crack down on journalists, activists, LGBT people, free thinkers, and others across borders. Kenyan police patrolled the streets of the capital Nairobi on Thursday. Roadblocks were set up on major arteries and many shops were shut ahead of planned new anti-government protests. The East African nation has been rocked by weeks of sometimes deadly demonstrations, most led by young Gen Z Kenyans against President William Ruto's 2-year-old administration. The nation's acting police chief had warned on Wednesday that criminals intended to infiltrate the demonstrations and said people should not trespass on avoid protected areas such as the main international airport and State House, the president's official residence. In a post on X, the acting inspector general of police Gilbert Masangale said active security personnel have been deployed but advised the public to take extra caution while in crowded areas that are likely to turn riotous. While the rallies which will begin in June, have become smaller in recent weeks, posters shared online call for fresh demonstrations, dubbed 99 or 88 in Swahili to signify the date August 8. In his statement Wednesday, Mang Sangali warned about criminals planning to infiltrate tomorrow's name demonstrations and commit further crimes. Three people have now died in the Listeria food poisoning outbreak linked to Boar's head deli meats. Federal food security officials announced Thursday, and the overall number of people sickened rose to 43. The additional death happened in Virginia, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said in a news release Thursday. The other two deaths were in New Jersey and Illinois. The CDC also said 9 more cases were reported since a July 31st release about the outbreak, which started in late May. Boris had recalled 7 million pounds of deli meats on July 30, expanding an initial recall on July 25 after a liver roast sample collected by health officials in Maryland tested positive for Listeria. The CDC said Thursday that a New York health officials tested a liver roast sample and confirmed the same strain of Listeria. The recall includes more than 70 products, including liver roast, ham, beef, salami, and bologna made at the company's plant in Jarrett, Virginia. And Israel has agreed to resume Gaza ceasefire talks on August 15 at the demand of U.S., Qatari, and Egyptian mediators. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said on Thursday, as regional tensions skyrocket over the war. Gaza's Hamas-controlled civil defense agency said Israeli bombardment killed more than 18 people in strikes on 2 schools on Thursday, as Iran accused Israel of wanting to spread war in the Middle East. After a week-long pause in November, U.S., Qatari, and Egyptian mediators have endeavored to secure a second phase in the 10-month-old war sparked by Hamas' unprecedented October 7 attack on Israel. In a joint statement on Thursday, the three countries later invited the warring parties to resume talks on August 15 in Doha or Cairo to close all remaining gaps and commence implementation of the deal without further delay. A framework agreement was now on the table, with only the details of implementation left to conclude, and the mediators were prepared to present a final bridging proposal to resolve remaining issues, they said. Netanyahu's office later Thursday, Israel will send a negotiating team on August 15 to the agreed place to conclude the details of implementing a deal. It is now 6:46 in the evening, and Cool News at 6 will be right back.
Cool FM.
You are still listening and watching to koolNews at 6 as U.S. stocks snap higher on Thursday as unemployment data eased recession concerns while European and Asian equities struggled. First-time claims for U.S. unemployment benefits dropped last week by more than expected to 233,000, according to Labor Department data. According to briefing.com analyst Patrick O'Hare, the key takeaway from the report is that the downturn in initial jobless claims, a leading indicator, is helping to quell recession concerns. Data last Friday showed fewer than expected U.S. jobs created in July, triggering concerns that the Federal Reserve have waited too long to begin cutting interest rates and that the U.S. economy could end up sliding into recession. U.S. recession fears, combined with a spike in the value of the yen following a Japanese rate hike last week, sent global equity markets plunging on Monday. Since then, there have been rebounds and renewed losses as traders seek to weigh up the risk of recession in the United States, the world's biggest economy. eToro U.S. investment analyst Brett Kenwell says that any data which suggests that the Fed isn't behind the curve in regards to its likely rate cut in September is welcome news for investors, as the yen has since fallen back after the Bank of Japan signaled a dovish approach on interest rates. In Europe, however, London and Paris closed lower Thursday, but Frankfurt pushed higher after Tokyo closed down at 0.7%. Warner Brothers Discovery's share price plunged around 9% Thursday after it reported a quarterly loss of almost $10 billion. Almost all of the loss was down to a $9.1 billion write-down in the value of the U.S. media giant's cable network, it announced in a statement underscoring the challenges facing the legacy television industry. But Eli Lilly surged 9.5%, boosted by strong sales of drugs that treat diabetes, weight loss, and metastatic breast cancer. So far, as of 2030 GMT, here are the key figures. For the Dow Jones in New York, up by 1.8% at 39,446.49. The S&P 500 up by 2.3%. Nasdaq Composite up by 2.9%. In London, FTSE 100 down by 0.3%. In Paris, there's the CAC 40 down by 0.3. DAX in Frankfurt up by 0.4. The Eurostock 50 flat at 4,000. Tokyo Nikkei 225 down by 0.7%. In Hong Kong, through the Hang Seng Index up by 0.1. The composite in Shanghai flat. Dollar to yen up at 147.20 yen from 146.68 yen on Wednesday. Euro to dollar down at $1.09. For pound to dollar up at $1.2750. Euro to pound down at 85.63 pence. West Texas Intermediate up by 1.3%, and Brent North Sea crude up by 1.1%. The last two that I've mentioned are related to the oil and gas industry. In the world of space industry now, as what was meant to be a week-long trip to the International Space Station for the first NASA astronauts to fly with Boeing could extend to 8 months, with the agency considering bringing them home on a SpaceX spaceship. A final decision on whether to persist with Boeing's troubled Starliner, which experienced worrying propulsion issues as it flew up to the orbital platform in June, is expected later this month, officials said Wednesday in a call with reporters. Detailed planning is already underway with Boeing's rival SpaceX, owned by Elon Musk, to potentially launch their scheduled Crew 9 mission on September 24 with just 2 astronauts rather than the usual 4. The Crew Dragon capsule would then be able to return to Earth with Starliner's crew of Butch Wilmer and Sonny Williams in February 2025, and what would amount to a major embarrassment for the aerospace giant Boeing. In this scenario, Starliner would fly back without crew before Crew 9 launches. Steve Stitch, program manager for NASA's Commercial Crew program, revealed that there had been intense discussion on the best way forward, with Boeing expressing confidence in its spacecraft after carrying out ground testing to replicate the technical issues seen in space. He said that I think the NASA community in general would like to understand a little bit more of the root cause and the physics. On August 2, the company released a blog update stating that it remains confident in the Starliner spacecraft and its ability to return safely with the crew. And finally, on the world of entertainment now, as Maris Racal stars in the upcoming film Sunshine. Kapamilya actress Maris Racal's upcoming film Sunshine will have its world premiere at the 49th Toronto International Film Festival. According to a release, Sunshine is included in the festival's centerpiece section, along with 43 titles from countries like Algeria, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Chile, China, Colombia, France, Germany, Indonesia, Nigeria, Panama, Poland, Singapore, Spain, Sweden, and the United States. It said that the program is a reflection of TIFF's commitment to providing an elevated platform for international cinema and the latest work of influential filmmaking luminaries. Director Antoinette Hadaune expressed her gratitude for the film's new milestone. The 49th Toronto International Film Festival will be held from September 5 to 15. Where Sunshine follows the story of a young gymnast who discovers she is pregnant on the week of the national team tryouts. When on her way to a seller of illegal abortion drugs, she meets a mysterious girl who eerily talks and thinks like her. And finally, before we close tonight's broadcast, I wanted to share something with you, our listeners and viewers. As many of you know by now, I haven't been appearing on koolNews since the start of mid-July due to unforeseen personal reasons. However, the onslaught of Typhoon Karina and Habagat by the end of that month proved to be the penultimate of my continued absence on the news desk. Unfortunately, times have changed, and so has koolNews. The school year had begun in most schools, and some, if not most of my fellow colleagues, will prioritize their studies more than the station, meaning they aren't so sure if they will be 100% committed to continue Cool FM activities. I am one of them, I hate to admit, but regardless, let's get straight to the point as usual here on koolNews. Effective at the end of this broadcast, I am leaving both koolNews at noon and koolNews at 6 on weekdays. To be specific, I am retiring on koolNews for now. While the 4 p.m. and Sunday prime time remains an opportunity for me, it is still unclear if I will be available every day to deliver the news as usual. But for now, I have to think of what will happen next. It was March 2024, if you can remember correctly, when I decided to hop on koolNews, and back then it was not yet a fully fledged program, rather as an experiment. However, it proved to be popular among the general public, and the rest is history. I had the honor to be part of that history, and I'm hoping that maybe, just maybe, there will be successors who's willing to work for koolNews and is passionate and determined to do the job. Delivering the news isn't as easy as you think it is. You have to constantly wait for developments, and over time, it changes. Once you report a single mistake, there's no turning back. That's why koolNews has been there for you, and so has Cool FM. And that is why we are called the station that cares for you. For the final time, as I depart for now, thank you for your continuous support, and we'll see you in the next chapter of koolNews.
Thank you very much, DJ Sen. I really appreciate you having you on. I really appreciate on having you as my longtime anchor of koolNews. And now that you're leaving koolNews for now, I do want to say good luck on your next endeavor, and I really hope you're doing well in your studies. So thank you very much, DJ Sen. I hope you had a good one.
It is my pleasure.
You're welcome. And that is it for koolNews at 6. As always, you can get in touch with us at tvh.philippines.news@gmail.com. And we will be back with more headlines later with an hour newscast of koolNews Prime Time at 9. Until then, I am Cairo.
And for the final time, I'm DJ Sen. From everyone here at the studio to your home, we all hope you stay safe and take care. Goodbye, and thanks for listening and watching. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.